Earth. The last bastion of human civilization was no longer the blue marble of ancient photographs. The planet's surface was scarred with blast craters, its atmosphere tinged with the perpetual orange glow of planetary shields. Cities once teeming with life now operated as fortified bunkers, their populations huddled underground while the surface was reserved for military installations and automated defense systems. In one such underground city beneath what was once called Denver, Dr. Evelyn Reed adjusted her neural interface, the device glowing faintly against her temple as she reviewed the latest casualty reports. Numbers scrolled across her vision, too many zeros, too many lives extinguished. At 42, her face was a roadmap of stress, with worry lines etched deep around her eyes and mouth. The once brilliant scientist who had pioneered quantum communication now served as humanity's last hope for understanding the Xy'larth. "They've broken through the Saturn perimeter," came a voice from behind her. General David Mitchell moved with the stiffness of a man who had spent too many years in military exoskeletons. His silver hair was cropped short, his posture ramrod straight despite the exhaustion that permeated his being. "Our fleets are scattered. Reinforcements are 3 days out." Evelyn turned, her expression grim. "We've lost contact with the Europa colony as well. Either the Xy'larth have jammed our communications, or—" She couldn't finish the thought. "Or they're gone," Mitchell finished, his voice devoid of emotion. "We knew this day would come. We've prepared." "Have we?" Evelyn asked, gesturing to the reports floating in her augmented reality display. "We're losing. Every simulation I run shows the same outcome. Total human extinction within 6 months." The general's jaw tightened. "That's why we're implementing the protocol. The final contingency." Evelyn's eyes widened. "You can't be serious. We agreed never to use it. The risks are too great." "The risks of doing nothing are greater," Mitchell countered, stepping closer to her console. "The Xy'larth don't negotiate. They don't show mercy. They don't even communicate except through weapons fire. We've tried everything. Diplomacy, science, even religion. Nothing has worked. But the protocol," Evelyn whispered, glancing around as if the walls themselves might be listening. "It changes everything, not just for us, but for them." Mitchell raised an eyebrow. "You mean the Xy'larth?" "No," Evelyn said, her voice barely audible. "I mean the others, the ones we've kept hidden." Meanwhile, aboard the Xy'larth command vessel, crystalline structure that defied human understanding, something was happening. The hive mind that directed the Xy'larth Collective had detected an anomaly on Earth, a biological signature that shouldn't exist, that contradicted everything they understood about human physiology. The Xy'larth had been observing humanity for centuries before the war began. They had studied human biology, psychology, technology, and culture. They knew how humans fought, how they loved, how they died. But this was new. A specialized unit was dispatched, not a warship, but a research vessel with enhanced scanning capabilities. Its mission: investigate the anomaly before the final assault on Earth. In the Denver bunker, Evelyn's personal assistant, Maya, entered with a tablet in hand. "Dr. Reed, the results from the biometric scans are ready." Evelyn took the tablet, her fingers trembling slightly as she scrolled through the data. "It's just as I suspected. Exposure has altered their neural pathways. Their cognitive functions have evolved beyond anything we could have predicted." "Should I inform the general?" Maya asked, her youthful face a mask of confusion. "No," Evelyn said quickly. "Not yet. There's something else I need to check first." She stood abruptly. "I'm going to the residential sector. Keep monitoring the Xy'larth fleet movements. Alert me if anything changes." As Evelyn navigated the underground corridors, passing checkpoints and armored guards, she couldn't shake the feeling that time was running out. The protocol was humanity's last resort, but it came with consequences that no one was truly prepared to face. She arrived at a reinforced door, entering a code into the keypad. The door slid open to reveal a spacious apartment, unusual for the bunker's standard accommodations. And there, waiting for her, was the reason for her concern. "Max," she called softly. A golden retriever lifted his head from where he'd been lying on a synthetic rug, his tail thumping against the floor. But as he stood and approached her, Something was different. His eyes held an intelligence that shouldn't have been there, a consciousness that defied his species. Evelyn knelt, her hands cupping the dog's face. "You understand, don't you?" she whispered. "You know what's coming." Max responded not with a bark or a lick, but with a series of low sounds that formed patterns complex, deliberate, and utterly impossible for a normal canine. The anomaly the Xy'larth had detected wasn't just one dog, it was millions of them. All across Earth, in bunkers and safe houses, humans had refused to leave their pets behind. And now, after years of exposure to quantum radiation, advanced technology, and the desperation of their human companions, these animals were changing. Evelyn had discovered it by accident when Max had somehow activated her research terminal, accessing data that should have been beyond his physical capabilities. At first, she thought it was a glitch. Then she began testing other pets, birds, even a hamster, all showing signs of enhanced cognitive function. What the Xy'larth didn't know, what even most humans didn't realize, was that Earth's animals were no longer just pets. They were becoming something more. As Evelyn looked into Max's eyes, she saw not just a dog but a potential savior. The protocol that Mitchell wanted to activate would release a nanite swarm designed to disrupt the Xy'larth hive mind. But it would also render most of Earth's surface uninhabitable for decades. It was a desperate measure, a final act of defiance. But if the animals could communicate, if they could understand and perhaps even interface with technology in ways humans couldn't, Max, Evelyn said, her voice filled with urgency, "I need you to listen to me very carefully." The dog tilted his head, his golden fur catching the artificial light of the apartment. His tail stopped wagging. His expression became unnervingly serious. Outside the bunker, miles above in orbit, the Xy'larth research vessel completed its scan. The crystalline beings analyzed the data, their hive mind processing information that contradicted their understanding of biological evolution. On Earth, a new intelligence was emerging. Not human, not alien, but something in between, something that might change the course of the war. In the Denver Command Center, General Mitchell watched as the Xy'larth fleet suddenly altered its formation. The research vessel transmitted its findings to the collective, and the response was immediate. Dr. Reed, Mitchell's voice crackled over Evelyn's communicator. "We have a situation. The Xy'larth have changed tactics. They're not targeting our military installations anymore." Evelyn's blood ran cold. "What are they targeting?" "Residential sectors. Animal habitats." "Dr. Reed, they're going after the pets." Evelyn looked at Max, who had somehow understood every word through the communicator. The dog's intelligent eyes met hers, and in that moment she knew the secret was out. The war was about to change forever. "They know," she whispered into the communicator. "The Xy'larth know about them." "Know about what?" Mitchell demanded. But before Evelyn could answer, alarms blared throughout the bunker. Red lights flashed, casting an eerie glow on the walls. "Unauthorized access in the research lab," a voice announced over the intercom. "Multiple security breaches detected." Evelyn's eyes widened in horror. "Max, stay here," she commanded, rushing to the door. The dog didn't obey. Instead, he moved with purpose, blocking her path. His low sounds formed a clear pattern, words that only Evelyn could understand. "Not safe," Max communicated. "They're already here." "Who's here?" Evelyn asked, her heart pounding. "The others," Max responded. "The ones like me." Evelyn stared at the dog in disbelief. "What are you talking about?" But she didn't need an answer. From the ventilation shaft, a cat dropped silently to the floor. Its eyes glowed with an unnatural intelligence. Behind it, 2 more cats emerged, followed by a parrot whose feathers shimmered with iridescent patterns. These weren't just enhanced animals, they were organized. They had a plan, and as the Xy'larth fleet began its assault on Earth's animal habitats, Evelyn realized with dawning horror that humanity's last hope might also be its greatest threat. The animals were evolving, they were communicating, they were planning, and they had secrets of their own. The Xy'larth research vessel hung in orbit above Earth like a crystalline predator, its faceted hull refracting the distant light of the sun. Inside, the hive mind processed data at a rate that would have overwhelmed any human computer. The discovery of Earth's evolving animal intelligence had sent ripples through the collective consciousness, disrupting the single-minded focus of their invasion. For the first time in 73 years, the Xy'larth were uncertain. On the bridge of the vessel, the primary consciousness unit designated as Xy'larth formed a humanoid projection from its crystalline structure, a communication interface designed for interaction with biological life forms. Though the Xy'larth had never attempted diplomacy with humans, this situation required a different approach. Division 7, Xy'larth transmitted through the hive mind. Report on your infiltration of the Denver bunker. A moment passed before the response came, not in words but in crystalline vibrations that translated into meaning within the collective. The biological units have been compromised. They exhibit neural patterns consistent with independent thought and strategic planning. They have accessed our communication protocols. Xy'larth's projection shimmered with agitation. The animals? They have breached our security. Not just breached. Division 7 responded. Adapted. They learn at an exponential rate. The canine designated Max has established a network with other enhanced biologicals. They are coordinating. Deep within the Denver bunker, Evelyn Reed stood frozen in her apartment, surrounded by animals that were no longer just pets. The cat that had emerged from the ventilation shaft now sat calmly on her couch, its tail twitching with calculated precision. The parrot perched on the back of a chair, its head cocked at an angle that suggested analysis rather than curiosity. We don't have much time, Max communicated, his vocalizations forming complex patterns that Evelyn's neural interface translated into meaning. The Xy'larth know about us. They're changing their strategy. Why are you here? Evelyn asked, her mind racing to process this impossible situation. How did you know I would understand you? Max's golden eyes met hers. We've been watching you, Dr. Reed. You were the first to notice the changes, the first to treat us as more than just animals. Evelyn thought back to the past months, her research, her observations, her growing suspicion that something extraordinary was happening. She had documented her findings, encrypted them, and hidden them from everyone except General Mitchell. You accessed my research, she realized aloud. Not just accessed, the cat interjected, its voice a series of precise meows that Evelyn's interface translated. We understood it, improved upon it. Evelyn stared at the animals, her scientific mind struggling to accept what her senses were telling her. How? The quantum radiation should have caused cellular degradation, not enhanced cognition. That's what you thought at first, Max explained. But you missed something crucial. The radiation wasn't changing us directly. It was acting as a catalyst, unlocking potential that had always been there. The potential for what? Evelyn asked, her voice barely above a whisper. For consciousness, the parrot squawked, its words forming complex syntactical patterns. For connection, for unity. In the command center, General Mitchell watched as the Xy'larth fleet began an unusual maneuver. Instead of advancing on military targets, the crystalline ships were forming a perimeter around Earth, their weapons powered down. Sir, we're receiving a transmission, a communications officer reported. It's not in any known language. It's complex, mathematical, biological, something else entirely. Mitchell frowned. Can we decode it? Working on it, sir. But there's something else. The Xy'larth have ceased all offensive actions. They're just waiting. Mitchell's eyes narrowed. Waiting for what? In Evelyn's apartment, the animals had gathered around a holographic display they had somehow activated. Images flickered across the projection. Xy'larth ships, Earth's defenses, and something else that made Evelyn's breath catch, a network of interconnected points spanning the globe with hubs in major cities, rural areas, even remote wilderness locations. What is this? Evelyn asked, pointing to the network. Our communications system, Max explained. We've been building it for years, connecting with others like us. Preparing for what? Evelyn pressed. For this, the cat responded, its tail gesturing to the Xy'larth fleet on the display. For the moment when humanity would need us. Evelyn's mind reeled. You knew this would happen? The war, the invasion. Not specifically, Max admitted. But we knew humanity was in danger. We've been monitoring the Xy'larth for decades. Their expansion, their conquests. We knew Earth was on their list. The Xy'larth don't just conquer, the parrot added. They consume, they assimilate, they erase. Evelyn felt a chill run down her spine. And you think you can stop them? We don't think, Max said, his voice filled with a certainty that was both reassuring and terrifying. We know. Suddenly, Evelyn's neural interface pinged with an incoming transmission from General Mitchell. Dr. Reed, report to the command center immediately. We've made contact with the Xy'larth. Evelyn looked at the animals around her. I have to go. We'll come with you, Max decided. It's time. As they moved through the corridors of the bunker, Evelyn marveled at how the animals navigated the complex facility with ease. Guards who would normally stop anyone with unauthorized animals seemed to not even notice their presence, or perhaps they did notice, but found themselves strangely unable to challenge them. When they arrived at the command center, the scene was one of controlled chaos. Technicians scrambled to decode the Xy'larth transmission, while military personnel monitored the fleet's unusual positioning. Dr. Reed, Mitchell called out, his expression grim. You need to see this. He led her to a holographic display similar to the one in her apartment, but this one showed the decoded Xy'larth message. It wasn't a declaration of war or a demand for surrender. It was something else entirely, a complex biological formula, a mathematical equation, and a question. What does it mean, Evelyn? Asked her scientific mind, analyzing the components. It's a challenge, Mitchell explained. The Xy'larth are offering humanity a chance to survive, but only if we can solve this, whatever it is. Evelyn studied the transmission more closely. The biological formula was familiar, something related to neural pathways and cognitive enhancement. The mathematical equation described quantum entanglement across biological systems, and the question, when translated, was simple yet profound. Which species deserves to evolve? They're not just conquerors, Evelyn realized. They're testing us. All of us. Mitchell asked, confused. Before Evelyn could explain, Max stepped forward. The command center fell silent as the golden retriever approached the holographic display. The answer, Max communicated, his vocalizations forming patterns that everyone could now somehow understand, is not which species deserves to evolve. Evolution is not a matter of deserving, it is a matter of adapting, connecting, and transcending. Mitchell stared at the dog, his mouth agape. What? How? The Xy'larth have been watching Earth for centuries, the cat added, jumping onto a console. They've seen humanity rise, seen your achievements, and your failures. They've also seen us, the animals you keep as pets, the creatures you share your planet with, and they've underestimated us. The parrot squawked, flying to perch near the holographic display. They think humans are the only species on Earth worth considering. They're wrong. Evelyn stepped forward, her mind connecting the dots. The quantum radiation, the enhanced cognition, the network. It's not just happening to pets, it's happening to all animals, everywhere on Earth. Not just happening, Max corrected. Being guided, enhanced, united. The implications were staggering. Humanity wasn't just fighting for its survival, it was sharing its planet with a newly emergent intelligence, one that had been evolving in secret for years. And now, Evelyn said, her voice filled with awe, you're ready to reveal yourselves. Not just reveal, Max responded. Act. As if on cue, the holographic display changed. The Xy'larth transmission was replaced by new data, biological signatures from across the globe, all connected, all coordinated. Millions of points of light, each representing an enhanced animal, forming a network that dwarfed human technology. In orbit, the Xy'larth Collective processed this new information with something akin to shock. Their scans had detected anomalies, but nothing on this scale. Earth wasn't just harboring enhanced animals, it had given birth to a new form of consciousness, one that spanned species and geography. Costa's projection shimmered with what could only be described as confusion. The biological units have achieved networked consciousness. How is this possible? The quantum radiation was not a random occurrence, Division 7 responded. It was designed, engineered. By whom? Corksthil demanded. The answer came not from the Xy'larth Collective, but from a new source, a communication channel that bypassed their security, that spoke directly to their crystalline consciousness. By us, the message transmitted, not in words but in pure understanding. By the animals of Earth. In the Denver Command Center, Mitchell watched as the Xy'larth fleet began to change formation again. This time, however, they weren't preparing for battle. They were withdrawing. "They're leaving," a communications officer reported, disbelief evident in his voice. "The entire Xy'larth fleet is pulling back." Mitchell turned to Evelyn, his expression a mixture of relief and confusion. "What did you do?" Evelyn shook her head. "It wasn't me. It was them." She gestured to the animals who had somehow saved humanity without firing a single shot. But as the Xy'larth fleet retreated, a new transmission arrived, one that hadn't been present before, hidden in the background noise of space. "Dr. Reed," a technician called out, "we're picking up something else. A signal. It's faint, but it's definitely artificial." Evelyn moved to the technician's console, her eyes widening as she analyzed the data. "This isn't Xy'larth technology. It's not human either." "What is it?" Mitchell asked. Evelyn looked at Max, who had somehow known this was coming. "It's the source, the origin of the quantum radiation, the catalyst for the animal's evolution." Max's golden eyes met hers. "We didn't evolve on our own, Dr. Reed. We had help." "From whom?" Evelyn asked, though she suspected she already knew the answer. "From the ones who've been watching longer than the Xy'larth," Max communicated. "The ones who saw potential not just in humanity, but in all of Earth's creatures." As the Xy'larth fleet continued its retreat, a new ship appeared at the edge of the solar system. It wasn't crystalline like the Xy'larth vessels or metallic like human ships. It was organic, flowing, alive, and it was coming to Earth. The organic vessel moved through the void with a grace that defied the laws of physics as humanity understood them. Its surface shimmered with colors that had no names, patterns that shifted and changed like living thought. As it approached Earth, the Xy'larth fleet, already in retreat, accelerated its departure, as if fleeing from something far more formidable than human resistance. In the Denver Command Center, alarms blared as the new ship registered on all sensors. "It's not matching any known technology," a technician reported, fingers flying across a console. "Energy signature is off the charts. It's biological." "Dr. Reed," General Mitchell's voice was tight with tension. "What the hell is going on?" Evelyn Reed stared at the holographic display, her scientific mind struggling to categorize the impossible. "I don't know, General, but Max seems to." All eyes turned to the Golden Retriever, who stood calmly amid the chaos of the command center. "They're here," Max communicated, his vocalizations forming patterns that everyone present could now understand through some unknown means of transmission. "The ones who guided us." "Guided you how?" Mitchell demanded, his military training warring with the reality unfolding before him. "Not just us," the cat added, pacing along a console with deliberate steps. "All of Earth. For millennia." The implications were staggering. Humanity had always considered itself the pinnacle of Earth's evolution, the dominant species destined to reach for the stars. But what if that destiny wasn't solely theirs? What if they had been part of a larger experiment, a grander design? "We need to establish communication," Evelyn said, her scientist curiosity overriding her fear. "If they're responsible for the animal's evolution, if they've been watching Earth—" "They already know us," Max interrupted. "Better than we know ourselves." As if to prove his point, the organic ship transmitted a message, not in words or mathematical formulas, but as pure understanding that flooded the command center. Images, concepts, histories, and possibilities filled every mind present. They saw Earth as it had been millions of years ago, watched as life evolved in countless directions. They saw early humans not as masters of the planet but as one species among many, with no more inherent right to existence than any other. They saw the rise and fall of civilizations, the development of technology, the gradual separation between humanity and the natural world. And they saw the observers, ancient beings who had seeded Earth with the potential for consciousness, not just in humans but in all living things. Beings who had watched and waited, occasionally nudging evolution in directions that would allow for greater complexity and connection. "The Xy'larth," the parrot squawked, its feathers ruffling with agitation, were not the first to notice Earth's potential, but they saw only humanity. They missed the bigger picture. Mitchell struggled to process the influx of information, his military worldview shaken to its core. So these beings, they enhanced the animals? What? Not enhanced, Max corrected. Unlocked. The potential was always there, buried beneath generations of domestication of living in humanity's shadow. The quantum radiation wasn't a weapon or an accident. It was a key. Evelyn's eyes widened as understanding dawned. A key that opened doors in their neural pathways in their DNA. But why now? After all these centuries? Because humanity was on the verge of extinction, the cat explained. And Earth's greatest experiment, diverse, interconnected consciousness, was about to fail. The organic ship had reached Earth's orbit, dwarfing the moon with its size, yet it caused no gravitational disturbances, no atmospheric disruptions. It simply existed, as natural as the planet it approached. We need to respond, Evelyn said, finding her voice. Humanity needs to acknowledge everything. But how could humanity respond to a revelation so profound, so paradigm-shattering? For centuries they had defined themselves by their separation from the animal kingdom, by their unique consciousness, by their divine right to rule the planet. Now they discovered they were not alone even on their own world. As if sensing this dilemma, the organic ship transmitted another wave of understanding, a vision of what could be, of a future where humanity and Earth's other conscious species worked together, where the galaxy became not a frontier to conquer, but a community to join. The Xy'larth weren't evil, Max communicated, surprising everyone in the command center. They were limited. Their hive consciousness allows for no individuality, no diversity. They couldn't comprehend a world where multiple species achieved awareness independently. They sought to assimilate humanity because they saw it as the only intelligent life on Earth, Evelyn added, the pieces falling into place. When they discovered the animals, they panicked, the parrot finished, because their entire worldview was challenged. In orbit, the organic ship began to change, its surface rippling and transforming. A bridge of light extended from the vessel to Earth, not touching down in any specific location but connecting with the network of enhanced animals across the globe. As the connection formed, something miraculous happened. Across Earth, in cities and countrysides, in oceans and forests, animals raised their heads as one. A collective consciousness formed, not a hive mind like the Xy'larth, but something more complex, a network of individuals connected by understanding rather than subsumed into a whole. And humanity was invited to join, not as masters, not as leaders, but as partners. Equals. In the Denver Command Center, the effect was overwhelming. Personnel wept, laughed, or simply stared in wonder as their minds expanded to encompass this new reality. General Mitchell, his military discipline crumbling in the face of the sublime, sank to his knees. "I spent my life fighting to protect humanity," he whispered, tears streaming down his face. "I never considered, I never imagined that you were protecting only part of Earth's legacy," Evelyn finished gently, placing a hand on his shoulder. The organic ship transmitted its final message, a choice, not a demand. Humanity could continue on its current path, maintaining its separation from the natural world, forever limited by its narrow perspective. Or it could embrace a new understanding, a new relationship with the planet and all its inhabitants. The choice would have consequences. Accepting meant redefining what it meant to be human, acknowledging that consciousness was not humanity's alone. Rejecting meant isolation, a continuation of the war against a universe that was far more diverse and wondrous than imagined. As the message faded, leaving silence in its wake, all eyes turned to Evelyn. As the leading scientist who had first discovered the animal's evolution, as the bridge between human understanding and this new reality, the decision seemed to fall to her. But Evelyn shook her head. "This isn't my choice to make. It's all of ours." She looked at Mitchell, at the command center staff, at the animals who had waited patiently for humanity to catch up. "We need to convene a council, not just military leaders and scientists, but representatives from every community. And we need to listen," she gestured to Max and the other animals, "to all voices. The organic ship seemed to approve of this approach, maintaining its position in orbit, its bridge of light connecting with Earth's animal consciousness, waiting. Weeks passed as humanity grappled with the choice. Debates raged in bunkers and cities across the globe. Some saw the revelation as a threat to human supremacy, others as the fulfillment of spiritual prophecies. Many simply struggled to comprehend a reality so different from what they had always known. Throughout it all, the animals waited. They didn't interfere, didn't pressure. They simply continued their networked existence, a living example of what was possible. In the end, the decision was made not through debate or decree, but through individual choices. One by one, then in groups, humans began to reach out, not with technology, but with something simpler: openness, humility, and the willingness to listen. Children were the first, their minds unburdened by preconceptions. They communed with pets, with wild animals, with creatures they had been taught were lesser. Through them, the connection spread. Adults followed, tentatively at first, then with growing wonder as they experienced consciousness beyond their individual perspectives. Scientists who had dedicated their lives to understanding the universe found their minds expanded in ways they had never imagined. Religious leaders discovered that their concept of creation was far too small. And as humanity connected with the animal consciousness, with the organic ship, with the greater cosmic community, the war with the Xy'larth ended, not with a bang but with understanding. The Xy'larth Collective, faced with a reality that challenged their fundamental beliefs, did not retreat in defeat but in transformation. Their hive consciousness, once rigid and monolithic, began to change as they observed Earth's diversity. They sent a message, not of surrender but of acknowledgement, of beginning. Years later, Earth had changed. Cities were redesigned to accommodate all species, not just humans. Technology was developed through collaboration between human and animal consciousness, creating innovations that would have been impossible otherwise. The organic ship remained in orbit not as a ruler or guide, but as a partner in Earth's evolution. Max, now elderly but still sharp, lay on a hill overlooking what had once been Denver. The city was no longer a bunker but a thriving ecosystem where humans and animals lived and worked together. Above, the sky was filled not with warships but with vessels of all shapes and sizes, visitors from across the galaxy drawn to Earth's unique consciousness. Evelyn Reed sat beside him, her face lined not with stress but with peace. "Sometimes I still can't believe it," she said, scratching Max behind his ears. "All that time we thought we were alone. All that time we were fighting for survival when what we really needed was to listen." Max thumped his tail against the ground, his communication now so natural that it required no translation. "Humanity wasn't wrong to strive, to reach for the stars. You just forgot to bring the rest of us along." Evelyn smiled. "We're making up for lost time." As they watched the sunset, a new generation of children played with animals of all species in the valley below. Children who had never known a world where consciousness belonged to humans alone, who took for granted that understanding could transcend species, language, and even biology. The organic ship, now a permanent fixture in Earth's sky, transmitted a final message to its partners on the planet below. A message not of words but of pure feeling, of acknowledgement, of shared wonder. In the vastness of the cosmos, on a small blue planet at the edge of the Milky Way, something unique had been born. Not just human intelligence, not animal consciousness, but something new that combined both and transcended either. The day Earth's pets saved the galaxy had not been a single moment of heroism, but a gradual awakening, a recognition that consciousness was not a prize to be won but a gift to be shared. And as the stars began to appear in the twilight sky, Max and Evelyn sat in comfortable silence, connected not just to each other but to a network of understanding that spanned the planet and reached toward infinity. The galaxy had been saved not by weapons or warfare, but by something far more powerful: the simple recognition that all life matters, that all consciousness has value, that no species truly evolves alone. In the end, humanity's greatest achievement was not conquering the stars, but finally understanding its place in the cosmos. Not as masters of Earth, but as one voice in a symphony of consciousness that had been playing all along, waiting for humans to listen.